Hello, it's Big Baz, and I'm doing a video on the Haste cap for Arms Warriors in 7.1, or the 20% or the 20% plus Haste cap that everyone's talking about and everyone's asking me about. And I thought I'd clear up a few misconceptions, misjudgments, and just a few of the confusions around the idea. So the basic idea is that with 20% haste, let's see if I can get 20% haste. 20% haste, we're going to get a 1.25 second global cooldown. That's close enough. So 1.25 second global cooldown, which means it's going to fit into Battle Cry, which is 5 seconds, 5 times. Including the global cooldown on the first, on 0. We get another 4 after that, is 5, yeah? So the idea is that we get 5 global cooldowns within a 5 second window. So by moving from 4 to 5, we're increasing our DPS by a quite considerable amount. And the other reason is because Mortal Strike typically has a cooldown above 5 seconds. I'm not sure on the base cooldown. I haven't seen the base cooldown in quite some time. But with 20% haste, it hits 5 seconds. So above 20% haste, we go below 5 seconds, which again means if we use Mortal Strike as the first global cooldown of Battle Cry, we can also use it again just as it comes off cooldown right at the end. Even if Tactician doesn't proc, we can get 2 Mortal Strikes within our Battle Cry. So obviously the problems that come from this are pretty much latency lag. We're not actually getting a 5 second Mortal Strike cooldown. In theory, yes, it does come off cooldown within the time stated, but with the latency from play, the server latency, and the client latency, we end up with missing that target. We miss the target most of the time. And that's especially the case when we've got off global cooldown abilities like Focus Rage firing off at the same time as global cooldown, standard global cooldown abilities like Mortal Strike and Slam. So the general consensus with the theory crafting people is that you need, I don't know, 25%, 26%, which has come from a basic idea that we continue to play exactly as we would normally play to pull this off. That makes them correct. If we were to play exactly the same way, which many people are using macros, the macro Slam and Focus Rage together so that they can just spam it during Battle Cry. If we can continue to do this, then yes, we need a lot more haste to pull this off. Maybe even like 25 or 26%. And that's because the amount of latency that's caused by doing this, especially when you've got 2 abilities at the same time. Now that becomes considerably easier, as I'll explain later, when we use Slam, let's say, first, and then halfway around the global cooldown, we use our Focus Rage, and then halfway around the global cooldown, Slam is back already for the main global cooldown. So the point is we're staggering these abilities, so instead of them both trying to ram through at once, they're separated. And the other reason we need to focus on is lag tolerance. Now, lag tolerance is in the game, but it's been removed from the standard interface, so you need to download advanced interface options. I'll put the link in the description, from Curse probably, and this unlocks many different things, but most importantly for me right now is the custom lag tolerance. Now, I typically used to run with 2 to 3 times my current latency. I've got 100 milliseconds at the moment, but you need to find the right spot. But the point is that this basically precasts your abilities. So it allows you to precast ability, and thereby removing or reducing considerably latency between keybind presses and server client latency. Now the problem with this is that it only allows one ability to benefit from the lag tolerance at a time. So if we are using 2 abilities, well, that goes out the window. So the point is we need to try and stagger these abilities so that they are getting caught by the lag tolerance. They're still getting caught by this lag tolerance, but not at the same time as each other. This pretty much lessens the problem. It doesn't remove the problem, but it lessens the problem considerably. So once we're doing this, we can probably get the realistic expectation of haste down to probably 23 to 24% maybe. With the 23 to 24%, we are probably going to be dropping the last Focus Rage of the Battle Cry, because if we're not dropping that last focused rage is competing at the same time as that second mortal strike. And you don't really want to be competing on these abilities. So what is the lowest amount of haste that we can get away with and still benefit from the 5 global cooldown burst? And I think it's around 22%. That's what I found from gameplay testing. That's what seems consistent for me, is 22%. Now you can go below 22% and still get 5 global cooldowns, but you're sacrificing focused rage at that point to pull it off, which is just not worth it. So with 22% we can get probably 2-3 focused rage casts within Battlecry. So the second mortal strike will have 3 focused rage, and that's the important bit. The second mortal strike's going to have 3 focused rage on it. I usually pull off 3 with 22% haste, but sometimes, you know, if things are not looking good on the latency side, if the server's being shit, you might be stuck at 2. Yeah, so the 22% is... This is the bridge. This is the bridge. If you're at this bridge, this is the bridge where, should I enchant haste? Should I enchant mastery? This might be the bridge for you, where one enchant of mastery of haste on your ring or something is going to make this all work, or it's not going to work at all. These are the only situations where you're comparing haste and mastery. Every other situation, mastery is top. This is what I'm trying to point out here. A lot of people are trying to sacrifice too much haste to try and make this work, when this is really the point. You test on the dummy, you see what you can pull off, and you think, right, is 200 haste rating or 150 haste rating from a gem really going to make this work? Am I that close? If yes, great, go for it. Go for it. Use the haste. If no, if you're not close, if it doesn't look like it's going to be close, stick with the mastery. If you're nowhere near this number, stick with the mastery. Unless you are within this very tiny range, this very, very fine margin, you're sticking with mastery. That's what I'm trying to point out here. Mastery is the king, and haste, while it is fantastic, and playing with the 5 global cooldowns is great. I've been doing it for a while. I'm not sacrificing to achieve this. If I had to drop the haste because it was more DPS because of the mastery, I would do that. That's what I would do. I'm in the situation being lucky with Arcano dropping in the first week that Jim came along, and that's why I've been playing with this setup. So now I'm just gonna do a little bit of gameplay. This is with 22.1% haste. Just this exact gear set of me doing 5 global cooldowns, all crits, and 3 focus rage on the mortal strike. This is your typical 22% rotation that you're going to be pulling off. So yep, that was the gameplay footage. I recorded it earlier, but yeah, we've got the 5 global cooldowns, 3 slams, 2 mortal strikes, both of them with 3 focused rage, and we did the 3 focused rage within the battle cry, and yeah, we just about got that mortal strike in at the end, and that's pretty much what you're going to expect when you're trying to pull off the 3 focused rage and 5 global cooldowns, 2 mortal strikes within the battle cry at 22% haste. So this is, we're pushing the limits here, but it's doable, and it's doable most of the time. Pretty much, 90% of the time, I'd say. If you're good with the game, if you're good and you're tight with your gameplay, you're going to pull it off every time. Obviously, if we can increase the haste to 23% or more, and we're going to be able to put in the 4th focused rage, which has a minimal effect in terms of spending a 12 extra rage for another possible tactician use. Now the main benefit of this system is that we can pretty much always guarantee that we get 2 mortal strikes in our battle cry, regardless of whether we get tactician procs or not. Now if we get tactician procs, we're going to be using a different approach. I'm most likely going to be trying to get 2 shatter defenses within our battle cry. But in the situation where tactician doesn't proc, and it does happen often, it's nice to be able to make the most of every battle cry that we've got by, like I said, using the mortal strike twice with 3 stacks of focused rage. At lower haste, as I might have mentioned in the video already, we're going to be struggling, and we're probably not getting any benefit of it. Unless you're getting at least 2 or 3 stacks of focus rage on the second mortal strike, you're not benefiting much, really. So, this is around about, like I said, this is the limit, this is the margin, 22%. If you can get 23% or more easily with gear, then go for it. But like I said, stick with a mastery stacking. Mastery is what we really want to be focusing on. So now we're coming to the important part of pulling this off, and it includes macros. Now, if we're using, say, Battle Cry and Mortal Strike together, right? So we're going to press Battle Cry first, and then we're going to press Mortal Strike soon after. We're going to create a delay between these two that's going to increase the latency. It's just going to waste our cooldown time. And no matter how well we pull this off, how good our timing is, the chances are that most of the time we're not going to be able to maximize this difference. Let me show you. You've seen that. That was spot on, right? Pretty much. That was pretty much as good as I'm going to get it on an average situation. But there was still delay between that. There was still actually delay. There was time lost there that I'm not going to get back. So if I'm only on 22%, then I'm really on the edge of pulling off my 5 global cooldowns. I've probably lost it by that point already. So we really need to have a macro that instantly presses them all at the same time. And that's where we've got this macro, which is from Mortal Strike. Cast my avatar, my Battle Cry Mortal Strike, and my Karzan ring in one macro. So I'll start the fight, I'll do my, charge the boss with the Focus Rage, 3 stacks, Colossal Smash on the target, and then I'll press the macro, and it'll do the cooldowns and the Mortal Strike instantly. And then it's up to me then to do the rest. But the point is that I've removed any latency between applying the cooldowns, taking the cooldowns up, and then using my first ability. So we're maximizing the Battle Cry uptime. It's the same thing with Execute, and then I've got a separate one for Avatar, and then just Battle Cry on its own. And that's pretty much how you pull it off, really. You have the custom lag tolerance set up. It's on 102 at the moment. Just need to find the right spot for that. I tend to like 70 milliseconds. And then you need to make the macros. And then you got to practice on the dummy. You start off with just 5 global cooldowns. See how it feels. See if you can pull it off. Then start adding in the focus rage and see how many focus rages you can reliably pull off every time and still make the 5 global cooldowns work. The last point I wanted to focus on is the next patch, because obviously this is not going to be that relevant forever. So we're going to look forward. Where are we? Loot. Raids, dungeons. Yeah, where the hell are my set bonuses? Oh yeah, there we go. Set bonuses. Right. The set bonuses increases the duration of Battle Cry by 3 seconds. So this is changing everything. Changes it up to 8-second duration. So to get 7 global cooldowns into this 8-second window, we're going to need around about 15% haste, maybe a little bit more. It's the same situation. I think it's in the 14%. I haven't looked at it 100%, but I did have a quick look at the numbers. It's around 14 to 15% we're looking at to get 7 global cooldowns in this 8-second window. The next breakpoint is up at 32% to get 8 global cooldowns in. We can forget about 32% because the secondary nerf is coming in next patch, which means our stats are actually going to be lower. I'm going to lose from my standard set. Put my standard set on. From my standard set, I'm going to lose around 2.5% I think. Haste, which is it's not a small amount of haste, so we're going to lose some haste. But we're only going to need 15-ish%. So pretty much everyone's going to have that 7 global cooldowns down. Now there's something to note as well. The 22% plus still exists in some mana because of this. For 5 seconds after activating Battle Cry. So while the Battle Cry is going to increase by 3 seconds to 8 seconds, this is still going to be, the Corrupted Blood is still going to be 5 seconds. So to make the most of the Corrupted Blood, we're still going to need 22%-ish plus 22 to say 24% haste. So take that in mind, but it's not going to be as important anymore because yeah, it's one extra ability with 20% more damage. You know, it's a small breakpoint. It's not a very relevant one anymore. It's a lot less relevant than it is now. So while it still exists, it's a lot less relevant than it is now. In the next patch, with the tier bonus, once we've got the 2 set, assuming the 2 set stays as it is, because they've already changed the 4 set slightly, then it's going to be 15%. So it's going to be easy to get 15% haste. Jesus, I mean, I got to put some crit gear on now. Oh, no, it's not going to let me do that. Put some crit gear on. See where we are. Crit. Yeah, crit. Put some crit on. Wait, what do we got here? I'm putting crit on everywhere, and we still got 16% haste. Yeah, it's going to be easy. So while this is quite relevant now, in the next couple of months, it's not going to matter at all, really. I think the 22% haste is going to be easier to pull off, especially with all the haste on the bloody gear set on the tier 19. But really, it's not going to be as important anyway. So yeah, just stick to the mastery, and if you've got just enough haste, then go for it. Use the macros, use the lag tolerance, practice, figure out how many focus rages you can put into your Colossus Smash Battlecry windows, figure it all out, and then do it. Don't just go Wild West on the bitch. Don't just start swinging around and hoping that it's going to work. Figure out how many focus rages you can fit in. Figure out if you can get the 5 global cooldowns in, and then work to that. If you can't do it, just stick to mastery. Don't go chasing the dragon. Cheers, I've been Big Baz. Sorry for the long-winded video, but I like to speak, and sometimes I get lost in thought, and then yeah, I start mumbling like this. But yeah, cheers for the video. Cheers to me for the fuck's sake. Yeah, goodbye.